November 23rd is in order. We're going to do invocation and pledge allegiance led by Commissioner Thompson.
Heavenly Father, thank you for the wonderful opportunity for us to be together today. We ask that you would guide our meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. Thank you for helping us to accomplish this for the good of all the citizens of Gladstone. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call.
Mayor Bostwick,
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Here.
Commissioner Phelan,
Here.
Commissioner Thompson,
Here.
Commissioner View.
Here.
All right, first up is public comment. All right, hearing none. The consent agenda for the City Commission reorganization of November 9th, the regular meeting of November 9th, the DDA regular meeting, September 15th, the Planning Commission minutes of November 10th, and payment of bills.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
A motion by Commissioner Thompson, support by Commissioner View. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First up is new business, the appointment to the DDA, Mr. Darren Hunter.
As I've mentioned in the past, we had ads in the newspaper. We do have openings on some of our boards, so if anybody's interested, please stop by City Hall or print the application on the website and get that submitted. We've had an opening on our DDA board for quite a while, and it's the resident opening. There's some boards have certain requirements, business owners or resident. The DDA board has one spot for a resident, and Mr. Darren Hunter fills, he lives within the DDA district. This went to the last DDA board, they supported it, but board appointments are a commission decision, so it's before you tonight.
I move to appoint Darren Hunter to the DDA board.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
Support.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Thompson and support by Commissioner Phelan. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is set a joint meeting with the commission and the DDA.
Commissioner O'Connor requested this be on the agenda tonight. I kind of pooled a couple of the DDA board members. You know, they just said if we can wait till after deer season, but maybe before Christmas, so we kind of picked Thursday, December 10th from 6 to 8, just a suggestion. I'm hoping everybody brought their calendars tonight to see if that would fit your schedules. Is that a good date, or
That's fine with me.
Yeah, it's good with me.
Yep.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good?
I'm out of town till about 6:15.
Oh.
I work every
6:30
Thursday. That's
to-
one of my busiest days for driving.
Would a 6:30 be better? 6:30
For me,
to
but I
8,
mean,
or-
I can come late if it's not an issue.
Jay, how about you?
I can make it.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Six.
I'm fine with 6 or 6:30, whichever works best for everybody.
I'm open all night, so whichever, if we need to move that a little bit to make it conducive to everyone.
6:30 give you enough time to get here, Steve?
Yep.
Okay, then why don't we say 6:30 then?
Thank you.
Do we need a motion? Yes, okay. I mean, yeah, okay.
I move that we set a joint meeting with the commission and the DDA for December 10th at 6:30 at the DDA building, correct?
Was it here that,
Or here?
Doesn't matter.
I'd like to do the DDA building.
Okay.
Myself, I would make that in the motion.
Support.
all right, got a motion by Commissioner View and support by Commissioner Thompson to have the joint DDA City Commission meeting Thursday, December 10th at 6:30 at the DDA building. Any discussion?
I would just like to know some idea why we're having the joint meeting, so we can be prepared for something, or isn't it, or just
I
to
guess
get to
I
know
just-
them, or,
Well, it would just be good to get with the DDA to talk about what their goals are
okay,
and how they mesh with us, how it works with MERS, what their costs are, where they see us helping, what their long-term plans are for economic development, short-term needs. I see the Gladstone Hotel, you know, is there
Yep.
some plan locally right downtown to take action?
well, and it's good to get that out there now, so that information can be available, that is available, so that's good to know that.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, next is Calgon carbon quotation. Eric?
First off, it's nice to see the water tech class here. Anyway, as the commission is aware, we had a problem with trihalomethanes last year in our water, which is a compound that's created because our lake water that we draw in has a lot of humic and fulvic acids, which react with chlorine, and it creates a compound that there's a federal limit on, which is 80, which we exceeded the 80 parts per million. We exceeded it with 82 on a 4-quarter average. So we've been trying different ways, because we know that like right now we're going to start getting the bad fall weather before turnover. So in order to meet this, we can either change our disinfectant. And another thing that we were looking at, we got 4 communities got together: Manistee, Escanaba, Menominee, and Gladstone. All 4 of us have sites that we have problems with, and we met with Calgon Carbon, because they have a lot of track history out there with their conglomerated. I can't say the word, agglomerated carbon. They take the carbon and pulverize it, then they stick it together with a compound so that it looks has a lot of voids in it, so it absorbs a lot of organics that are in the water. Plus, it lasts for a lot of backwashes. It lasts a lot longer than the other product out. There's North America, which also sells granular activated carbon, but it's not it's not as economical to use, and they don't reactivate it. What's going to happen is we're going to do one filter, do both filters, do one filter, get it operational, get it so it's creating safe and good pure water, and then we'll get the other one going. And this from the filters we've looked at from around the United States and Manistee, which is on their 2nd cycle, we'll probably be able to get at least 3 years out of this filter. It's basically a filter rebuild. These filters were built in 1969, 1970, and they're going to take the top 3 feet of it off, approximately, or 2.5 feet, and we're going to replace it with the 30 inches of the carbon. And it's a lot like the filters you see that you can buy on your kitchen faucets. It runs it through the special carbon, and it absorbs anything that's in the water, except we'll be doing it on two 400 square foot filters. And this is the price for them coming and sucking all the sand off. And I went over to Manistee during their process, and they did a really good job. They suck it off, and then they'll put the granular activated carbon back on top of the filter, and we'll do a backwash, and we'll do some bacteriological samples and get it so it's creating water that meets the turbidity standards, and then we'll go and do the 2nd filter. All 4 communities are going to be going with Calgon because we can save money in the future on our reactivation fee. When they come up, they'll come and take our carbon, and they keep our carbon. They have a special bin or container that they keep the Gladstone carbon in. They reactivate it, and then they'll just exchange it every 3 years. And from Manistique's numbers, we'll probably be able to get 4, but I probably propose changing one in 3 years and the second one in 4 years. And so we'll stagger the filters that way in Menominee and Manistee, and Escanaba will also be doing that. So one savings we will have, if you look at this we're looking at $143,000. Over 4 years, that comes out to about $48,000 a year. Right now, we're feeding powdered activated carbon to the raw water for taste and odor, and to try to remove some of these organics. And we're spending around $17,000 a year on the carbon we're feeding now. So balanced out, it's going to be about $30,000 a year. It's going to be the cost, and to meet the federal requirements on trihalomethane. So that's why I'm recommending we go with this company. I would have to say at this point it'd be a not to exceed because we don't have the permit from the DEQ yet. We're still working with the DEQ, and I wanted to get this rolling as soon as possible because we're going to be doing our fourth quarter samples in December. So if we can get this set up, and so we could do some sampling at the end of the month and see how good they're doing. Manistee used to have similar numbers to us. They'd be their trihalomethanes would be in the during the high colored water. They'd be in the hundreds to the 80s, somewhere in there. And with the carbon cap that they have on their filters, they're getting numbers down in the 30s. So. Two things to talk about. This isn't exactly how we do things according to our bidding policy, but there's only 2 of them in the country, and we're looking, 2 companies that provide the service. And 2 things I like about Calgon is I really like the way they did it, and the carbon is all American carbon, and the company is all American. It's done in Kentucky, so we're not dealing with any Chinese carbon, which has God knows what in it. And I had another reason. What was the other reason? Were there any questions?
You say that's $30,000 more a year we'll be spending it with this process?
Yeah, there'll be some other things that hopefully will, it'll take care of, it should take care of all our taste and odor problems. And we're also looking at it doing a different pre-disinfectant, which we could hopefully get this stuff to last a couple more years longer, and in doing that we'd drop our chlorine costs too. But this is just the first step. It's a time-tested step that I know will bring our water back into compliance. It's in compliance right now, but it's borderline in compliance. We're right at about 78 and the limit's 80. If we get one, December, if we get a Edmund Fitzgerald storm out there and the lake turns over and we start drawing in coffee again, we're gonna have a hard time meeting. I mean, we won't meet the limit. So, but if we have,
Do we usually run right around that limit consistently year after year?
in the summertime, we're usually keep it well below, pretty much below, down in the 50s. But in the fall and in the spring, with the runoff, it gets up higher, and it's a 4-quarter average. So.
Is this setup already have money for it? I mean, we're not gonna be raising rates and all this other stuff?
No,
too?
I'd
I
be
mean,
taking-
You budgeted for it already?
I
or-
did not budget for this year because I had no idea. This is how much negotiating we've been doing in the last 3 months, and then for how much we need to do to meet limits, and because it's a science on how much we're gonna and how fast you can backwash it. And so this is what I've been working with Dave Holmgren over at C2AE, who is a water treatment specialist, and he's got more time than I have in the field, and so we've been working with Calgon and the DEQ and C2AE, and this is the formula that we've come up with, and
I mean,
The other-
I guess my main concern is, do we have the money somewhere to pay for this right
yeah,
now?
I have, the water fund has 500,000
Okay.
So it
in
would be
the
coming
bank.
out of your fund?
Yeah, it would be coming out of that fund. And we could also, if we didn't want to hit the fund that hard, we could pay it in a payment installment plan at 6% interest to Calgon, but I'd just as soon pay for it. And
I agree.
Well, I'll move that we,
I got one more question.
well, you can still have questions after. I just want to make the motion that we accept the proposed bid for the Calgon carbon GAC quotation as presented.
Well, do we need to, is that gonna follow the bidding rules?
It does not, but if the commission approves it, then you know you're not following that
So
policy.
we're just gonna do an exemption to the rules along with approving it?
I think this
The
is one of the
commission
times
can
when
do
you
that.
need to.
Okay.
All right, you have a second?
Support.
All right, got motion by Commissioner View and support by Commissioner Thompson for the Calgon quotation. Any other discussion?
I just wanted to ask, on 143,000, is that something we're gonna have to pay every 3 years or 4 years, as you were saying?
Oh, good question. When they come back and they reactivate the carbon, they'll take the carbon, they'll come back with, we'll have two batches for each filter. They'll come back with virgin carbon and then take our old stuff back and they reactivate it, and it'll be at 66% of the cost. So
Okay.
be knocking at least a third off to have it reactivated, so. And,
But you're looking at every, 3 or 4 years?
yeah, we're looking at every 3-4 years.
So is this a contract for so many years then?
No,
or-
this is just a one-time, for right now. With the given markets, there's no way they can tell us what it's gonna be like in 4 years, so,
So that's just your best estimate?
yeah.
And you think this is the absolute best way to go in?
Yeah, for a
better
first
than what
step,
we're
for a first step, this is the way to go. Carbon is traded like a commodity on the markets, and I know there's been time when we've been trying to get powdered activated carbon, and all of a sudden, the city of Chicago was having problems with taste and odor, and they pretty much took all the carbon that was available in the United States for about 3 months, and so we couldn't get any carbon, so.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of the proposal, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Eric. All right, next is the delinquent bills on the winter 2015 tax bills. Vicki?
The next three items in the packet are different delinquent bills that are slated to be written off to taxes. According to Chapter 8, Section 12 of the city charter, it allows the city to assess delinquent utilities, miscellaneous invoices, and special assessments as liens on tax bills. So the first item are miscellaneous invoices. These are past due. Most of them are either broken inspections or rental inspections. There's a couple frozen water meter, grass cutting invoices. So these amounts are we're just looking for approval to write these amounts off to the winter tax bills.
Who has grass cutting for $70? Was that a field?
That's what it costs them to have the city go out and do it.
Is that the city expenses then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Time and material.
Well, just-
And what is that? That's after, I'm assuming that's after Dell goes there and red tags them several times, or?
Yeah, yes.
And
move that we assess the delinquent miscellaneous invoices to the winter 2015 tax bills.
I'll support.
All right, have a motion by Commissioner Thompson, support by Commissioner Phelan. Any more discussion?
Yeah, just like the penalty and late penalties, that money just goes in the general fund then?
Depends on what the invoice is for. Any of the broken inspections, or rental inspections, that goes to the general fund. Frozen water meters, that would be water fund. So it depends on what the invoice is for.
So this, just a little bit of extra income too, when people don't follow the rules is basically what this
Right.
is, so.
Right.
I mean, we
And
don't
that
want it
penal-
that
And
way.
that penalty just covers our time as far as sending out the reminder letters to pay it before it goes off to the taxes, and then me actually having to assess it onto their tax
And these people
bill.
never answer, that when they have this, they don't care, or these are property owners that just,
And they get monthly reminder invoices every month.
Well, what do you do in the instance if they're not the property owner? I mean, I know some of these people are probably not property owners. What does it go towards? Who pays for that?
We utilize a different way of collecting them, as far as Northern Service Bureau or something like that, but.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the special assessments for the winter 2015 tax bill.
This list is a listing of people who have not paid their special assessment. They're due November 15th every year. They get reminder letters a month ahead of time. And this list is pretty much the same as last year. It's pretty much, people know it'll be written off to their taxes if they don't pay it. So it's pretty much the same list from year to year.
And what installment is this one?
This is the second installment for both 311 and 312.
Okay, and how many assessments are they gonna have?
7
7? Okay.
7-year assessment.
At no interest.
7 years at
At no
$120? What is the
Yep.
assessment for?
Well, special assessment 311 was the Delta Avenue project. Special assessment 312 was, or 313 was Wisconsin Avenue. And that was paving also.
How does that work? Is that every time we pave a road that we tack on a special assessment to the people that live upon the road?
We have to let the property owners know ahead before we even do the project. So we send letters out, well ahead, invite them to a meeting, show them the project. Anything underneath the road, the city pays for. If we redo storm sewer, water sewer, city pays for all that. All the base of the road, we pay for. It's the paving portion. It's based on front footage of the property. So when we did the Delta Avenue project, we sent I think there was like almost 40 property owners, invited them to a meeting, explained the project. If at that time, we give them an estimate of what it's gonna cost. If paving comes in higher than the estimate, we only charge the estimate to the residents. The city eats the rest of that cost. So this is just the paving portion of these two projects. And then the commission decides what the interest rate is. They said no interest. First year payments, well, yeah, no interest, and they said for 7 years. That's how long they have to pay for it. So every year, we send the property owners a letter. Here's your 1/7 of your payment. You can either pay it. If you don't pay it, it's gonna go off on your taxes with 10% penalty.
That's standard practice, though, whenever we do a road in town?
Pretty much, unless we can get some pretty good grant money that covers the whole project. The problem is we don't have a lot of money in our street funds to do a lot of new streets. We almost have to wait for, federal aid money or some kind of grant to offset some of the cost.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
I move that we assess the delinquent special assessments invoices to the winter 2015 tax bills.
I'll-
support.
oh, go ahead.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Thompson, support by Commissioner Phelan to send the special assessment and winter taxes. All those, any more discussions? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is utility accounts for the winter 2015 tax bills.
And this is the final list. These are any past due utilities that are looking to be written off to the winter tax bills. If you look at the second page, Patty LaBombard, our utility billing clerk, worked very hard at getting this list kind of dwindled down as far as she could. The total is just over 15,600. And she even broke it down even further as far as business landlord, back to the bank, vacant, owner tenant. But then down below, she even did a comparison. If you look at winter of 2014, we wrote off just over 42,600 to the winter tax bills. So she worked very hard at getting the collections in and sending out past due notices and that kind of a thing. This past summer, we wrote off 65,500. And that just is through the winter months. The summer always seems to be a little bit more because of the winter months and running higher bills. But, so she did a really good job with this list. Are there any questions on this that I can try and answer?
So this is basically the same thing as the other one, only it's the utilities shut off, notices that weren't paid or whatever.
Yep. Mhm.
I'll move that we apply these to the winter taxes for 2015.
I'll support.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Phelan, support by Commissioner Thompson to put these on the winter 2015 tax bills. Any discussion?
Are we putting this on even to the property owners even if they're not responsible for the bill? Because they didn't.
You mean if it's a tenant or something
Yes.
like that?
Yes.
Correct. If she does not have the waiver form for the tenant to not place that onto their property taxes, then yes, we do have the ability to place that tenant's utilities off to the landlord's property
Yeah,
tax.
I always disliked that. I just, for some reason, it just.
But we do have a plan in place for the landlord not to get burned by that. That's what the
Correct.
waiver's set up for.
Correct. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess they have to take advantage of it and they're not.
Right, right.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is the City of Gladstone utility write-offs, delinquent.
The city works with two different entities. We work with Northern Service Bureau. When we have an account, say somebody skips out of town, during the night and they leave a utility bill, within probably 60 days, we submit that to Northern Service Bureau. We split whatever they can collect, we split 60-40. They keep 40%, we get 60%. It's something. That's mainly for residential accounts. Any larger commercial accounts, we work with the city attorney on. And we work with the city attorney because there's routine paperwork that has to be submitted to the courts to do garnishment of wages and stuff like that. In my 20 years here, I don't ever remember the city writing off receivables. So we thought, really to be, to have a receivable that reflects, somewhat of a correct balance, your old accounts really should be written off. And our total receivable, just to kind of give you a perspective, as of the balance sheet as of today, our total receivable for all utilities, electric, water, sewer, and solid waste, is $655,000. But that receivable today, once we post bills, the revenue goes to the fund, and the other side of the equation is the receivable. As the payments are made, we knock down the receivable. So by writing off these delinquent accounts, we're just reflecting our receivable, to be a more accurate number. We're asking for $36,000, just over $36,000, be written off. But what we do is we put a note on that account. If the commission approves, to write this off, it'll come off our receivable. But if one of these people come in to open a new utility account, in the policy we have, if they have a balance, this has to be paid off first before we open a new account for them. So it's still in the system, but it's not part of our receivable. So
We still pursue collecting it.
we
don't
can, but
we don't give up
these
on
are too old for Northern Service Bureau,
it. Okay.
too small basically to hire an attorney to collect them. So they're kind of what's left.
Well, some's almost $3,000. I don't think that's too small, is it?
Well, that's a business.
Oh,
That it's two individuals created a company, opened a business. They don't have a business here anymore, so how do you,
or they're not in the town anywhere?
we tried to pursue collections, as soon as they shut their doors, and it didn't generate anything.
They may not even exist anymore under that name.
Right.
It was a corporation.
So we've pretty much, we've exhausted all our options as far as collecting.
Yes.
goes.
Yep.
And these are all 6 years old.
6 years or older.
I'll move that we write off the balances on the delinquent utility accounts per the attached list.
I'll support.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Thompson, support by Commissioner Phelan for writing these off the utilities. Any more discussion?
So this will clean things up and make accounting easier.
Yes. Yep. Our auditors kind of bring this to our attention every time. You really should write that old stuff off. Well, it takes commission approval to do that, so.
But we're not clearing the debt, so to speak.
Right, it'll still be,
So if I vote yes, they still owe the money if they show up.
they still owe the money, yep.
Okay,
If they try to open a new account, this has to be paid in full before we'll open a new account, but
Are we still looking like 5 years old, 4 years old, 3 years old?
Yeah.
Are we still looking at tens of thousands of dollars that need to be collected?
I can print what that total is.
Well, what did you say our total was for?
655,000 is our
But that's
total
current- but that's
reciprocal.
current billing too.
It's a lot of money.
And I'm gonna pay my bills as soon as I get home. Don't wanna get that penalty.
Yeah.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the City of Gladstone utility policy.
This is something the utility committee has looked at for many, many months. We've made all the changes we feel we can based on, state law changing. So really two reasons for what's in your packet tonight. In the past, we've had a shut-off policy. When you have 4 utilities billed on one bill, the easiest to turn off is the electric. But we really didn't have a policy on, well, if somebody gets help for their electric through, community action or the state, Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, they specify what they'll pay on a utility account. Say somebody owes us $400, they owe 100 on each. If the electric is paid, they're still delinquent on water, sewer, and garbage pickup, what's next? Now we're saying we can turn off another utility if they're still delinquent. So we're encompassing all of the utilities into one policy and calling it a utility policy instead of a shut-off policy. We've included the state acts in here that we're following. And then the commission, this past summer, approved for us to charge the LIEF fee on the utility accounts. That money's collected here, sent to the state of Michigan, and then the state administers that program as far as how that comes back to the city. So we kind of wrapped all those changes into one, and we're calling it the utility policy. But I don't know, looking at the red redacted version is sometimes confusing to look at. So I gave you the red redacted, I gave you a copy of the clean utility policy that it would look like if you approve it tonight. Like I mentioned, the public acts are in here. And then we gave you the 2013 policy as it was. This is what we have been following,
Yeah, you gave
the
us a lot.
shut-off policy.
I'd like to move that we table this until the next city commission meeting to give us more time to
Sure.
read this over. I like to read it a couple times because I always pick up something else when I go through it. I literally came out of the woods and got this yesterday, so.
I'll support that.
Okay,
All right.
table till the next meeting.
To the December 14th one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, got a motion by Commissioner Thompson, support by Commissioner View to table the utility policy till the December 14th meeting. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I would like you to look at, and I know these people aren't city residents, but they support our city and they utilize city utilities. Basically, your deposit terms on page 2 talks about Kipling, Westwood Heights, North Country. I have people there have been calling me up ever since I got elected on the commission. Your deposit says that apply with the final bill. Well, most of these people been there 35, 40 years, and they feel that there should be what they call an experience of good faith deposit requirement. That if you, and I just want to basically say that if you pay your bills steady for 12 months or 24 months, that somehow they should be able to get their deposit in good faith, that they're going to continue doing that, and that we just don't label them. Because this one lady told me yesterday, she said, when I die, my son's never even going to know I have a deposit there. And I went down to City Hall, and they said that when he switches over to his name, he's going to have to pay $200. And I just think if they have, you know, you get a credit rating on how you pay your bills and stuff, and I think we should have this in here. That's something
That
in
is-
here, something in here to cover for that.
That
Unless
is-
there is in there, I don't know.
That is the policy
But I
for
think-
the city residents. If-
No,
if-
no, but I'm talking the other people that still pay that.
I
mean,
know, but just like you approved tonight, delinquent utilities off to taxes, we can't assess delinquent utilities off to
their tax.
taxes because they're not within our taxing jurisdiction.
That's why we kept it there. We every year we probably have 5, 6 people, they pass away up in the trailer park, and they might have two months of bill and it doesn't get paid, so it comes out of their.
But
'cause-
35 years ago, the deposit was literally probably $20.
$5.
$5.
Yeah.
One
So
lady said it was 5. No, but
that's not even going to cover,
I'm talking about today's time, and I understand what you're saying, but a lot of these bills that we wrote off, I know some of these people that are on here that we wrote off that are living in the city of Gladstone, and maybe the utilities are in
Are
somebody
not.
else's name.
Exactly. That's what they do.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone, the ones that are talking to me, they've been paying their bills for 40 years.
But if they live outside the city limits, we have no recourse to put their delinquent utilities on
But every,
anything.
other cities I checked does, they didn't care about that because of the good faith on the deposit requirement. And I think we should have that here. And personally myself, I think we should. I can read what it is, but it's 3 paragraphs on what they do for these people. And they're asking me to look into it, and I think it's
We've
something we
discussed
should.
this
Yeah.
a lot at the utility committee.
'Cause we'll end up losing 50% of them when they pass away or when they move. We'll lose that money. So,
That's a guaranteed.
yeah.
Well, at the end, I understand what he's saying. I mean, if they pass away, who's gonna pay their bill? they're gonna have a bill, an existing bill.
Yeah, but you have an estate. I mean, I guess I'm not understanding it. I
I
think if
just
other
think that
cities
it's
have it,
not
I would just like to see it here. I'm just bringing it up for discussion, because I think these people deserve the same treatment everyone else is, that if they have a deposit on it and everyone else gets it back, and they belong to the system and on the grid, and they've been paying for 10 years or whatever, after a certain period of time, I'd like to see them have the same opportunity.
We do check our policy against other municipal, policies, and that's pretty standard for providing service outside your jurisdiction.
Did you check Escanabas?
I don't know, Patty's kind of our researcher on that.
Because that's what I'm going by. I have Escanabas policy right here. And that's what they call it. And I think it would only be fair for those that really, I mean, we wrote off a lot of people that are in the city anyways on the utilities. We lost, what tonight? How much did we write off? I forgot already.
36,000.
$36,000.
But those people do not have current active utility accounts in the city of Gladstone. Otherwise, we would transfer that balance to that account.
Right. So there's no,
Probably already took their deposit and applied it.
Yeah.
We can bring it up at the December 14th meeting and look at it, if you want.
Is there a way we could put a lien on their property?
Not if they're outside of our jurisdiction.
No, I mean, like a.
Sign something.
Like a contractor works on your house and you don't pay, they can put a contractor's lien on your house. You can't sell it, so, without paying that bill.
there you go.
Is there something like that that could be done? Because I'm sure they'd be willing to do that.
The viable ones.
When they're, then when the house goes to sell, as long as there's no bill, it just gets signed off on and,
How much
They're good
money
to
are we
go.
talking? What is their deposit on this?
somewhere around like $150 or something, aren't they?
We've slowly increased. I think when I started, the deposits were maybe $50.
200 now?
They're up to 100. Now they're up to 200.
So it's $200 deposit to have your electric and everything else turned on.
And if you're a city resident and you pay 12 months, no NSFs, no shut-offs, clean payments, we'll give you your deposit back.
Does that include renters?
No,
No.
not renters, because, again, they have no property, we can't charge the property.
Well, if you don't think it's worth it, I think we should look at it. That's just my opinion, and then if
Maybe we
it,
can bring back, the other entities that we look at to kind of see if our policy's in line. We can let you know who,
oh, I found them like this too. I'm not saying we're out of line, I'm just saying
you would.
people
yeah.
are asking me, and I said I'd bring it up at the commission meeting when we discussed it to see if we can, even if we double it, say you gotta pay 24 months or something, and then you'll get your $200 back. This guy told me, he said, I don't wanna die and then someone else get my $100 or $200. I mean, it's minimal, but for somebody, it's something they felt that they earned the good faith on paying their bills.
I just have one issue on landlord not responsible. They have to do the waiver, but it'd be nice if it was mandatory that we had a copy of the contract between the parties, so that we would know that it actually states who's responsible.
Oh, they do. I'm
Yeah,
a
they do.
landlord.
Well, no, it says if one exists, but I'm saying they need to have one exist.
Oh, okay.
What section are you under?
This would be on page 13.
Well, you want to
Landlord
specify
not-
that
I
in
wanna-
order to have the waiver, you have to have the
Have a
contract
contract,
on file.
yes.
You want it stated right in the lease.
You want to say in the lease that they're responsible, so that there's no gray area.
That's by state, that's by state law. That one. Used to have a landlord was responsible.
Well, and here it says if one exists, I'm just saying we want them to have, we want proof that they have basically memorialized the agreement of the utilities between the two parties.
All right, anything else on it? All right, all those in favor of tabling this to the December 14th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the Arbor Day proclamation.
Can I say something first?
Sure.
Before you- I just want to say, first of all, we're kind of doing the Arbor Day proclamation a little convoluted. It's normally the last Friday in April, the traditional Arbor Day. The Arbor Day Foundation, though, however, has 4 requirements for keeping us a Tree City USA. One of them is to have a proclamation, and one of them is to have a tree planting or some sort of celebration of trees. Well, we did a tree planting celebration October 17th out at the compost site, and some of the commissioners were there, and some future commissioners were there, and some public and others. But I wanted to commend Ken Levine. He's not here tonight. I wanted him to be here, but he had already planned on getting out of town already, so, and this was already in the process. But so anyways, so this is more or less kind of a formality tonight to just proclaim today as Arbor Day, even though we celebrated on October 17th. And that's it. But I just wanted to just let people understand how much work Ken has done for us up at the compost site this past year. He's put in well over 1,200 hours of time. I just think he's done a great job for the community, and I really appreciated all of his effort this year. And thank you for coming out to the celebration. It was a cold morning, but that was also the MSU U of M game, and the day ended up very well.
If you're a state fan.
Well, I'm an Arbor Day guy too, so you got to be. So MSU's right up there with Arbor Day. So anyway, so that was it. So Jay needs to, the mayor needs to do a proclamation. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mark. All right, I'll read what it will say. In 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and beautify our community. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Jay Bostwick, Mayor of the City of Gladstone, Michigan, do hereby proclaim November 23rd, 2015 as Arbor Day in the City of Gladstone, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees that gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Is that all that we have to do?
I do proclaim.
Okay, next up is the City, Village, and Township Revenue Sharing Program.
I do have this in a PowerPoint, and if you don't mind, this is a very good document that we hand out to many, many residents that come to the city and ask various questions. Would you mind if I went through a quick PowerPoint presentation so it gets on the video? There's other people that watch this meeting.
Sure.
They can kind of get some of the highlights of it. This is available on our website. If you want your own copy, please feel free to go there, and it will, well, it's part of the packet. It'll be its own document too.
Lights.
First on the lights, please.
Arbor Day.
Where's the green coming from?
No, that don't look like my corral.
Maybe change the lens, maybe?
You hit it 3 times on the side.
Okay, the front of the document, I'm sorry, I don't know why it's green, but we should still be able to see the graphs, though. Just explains all the departments, what all the departments we have and what they provide, their mission for the city, that kind of stuff. It's a required piece of the plan.
I like that color better.
Well, in the, print the packet when you have time and look at the graphs if you'd like to. It's even cutting off the graph. So this slide is general fund only for the current fiscal year that we're in, 2015, 2016. The majority of 49% of our general fund revenue comes from taxes. The second highest is the state sources at 15%. That's on the graph on the left. On the right, you have expenses. 40% of your general fund expenses are from police and fire. And the second largest is general government. General government is a whole bunch of small funds, basically. City commission, city retirees, city manager, city clerk, city treasurer, assessor, community development, elections, and city hall. All make up general government. But in your budgets, those are all separate line items. For auditing purposes, they're lumped together under these categories. Next, we have property tax revenue, just trying to show the trend here. And I hope we have turned the corner, because if you look at 2011, that's our lowest at 1.186 million. 2012, just a little bump up, 1.189. A little bump up in 2013, 1.2, 1.24. Now we're at 1.4. I hope we've turned the corner, even if it's little, a little increase every year, that helps everybody, right? The increase from, 2014 to 2015, that was the county multiplier. And we heard it at the board review. We had, Kim, two days of board review, and we were steady the whole time. People just did not understand how can the county multiplier raise my taxes the way they did. But they did, so that allowed us to receive a little bit more in revenue. Next, we have state shared revenue, second largest source of revenue to the general fund. Again, here, I hope we are on the uptick for this as well. 2012 seemed to be our low at 453,000. 2013, every little bit counts, right? Up to 468, 474, now we're at 494. I'm really hoping, we're not back to our 2004 total, 584,000, but at least At least we're not flat, we're kind of hitting that up curve, so hopefully if that stays, we'll get a little increase there as well. So by producing this report tonight, submitting it to the state of Michigan by December 1st, allows us to continue to receive that statutory portion. It used to be called statutory revenue sharing, now it was EVIP, now it's the CVTRS report. General fund revenues and expenses, just kind of showing them side by side. The little increase in revenue, decrease in expenses has allowed us to accumulate $484,000 into fund balance. That is definitely a swing in the right direction. In 2009, we were $30,000 in the hole. Employees overall, just one note to point out on here. So full-time employees, that's kind of the number we look at. In 2006, we had 46 full-time employees. In 2015, we have 35. We do hire a lot of seasonal employees, the number at 63 there. Just a note I wanted to make on that. It says seasonal employees are DPW and Parks and Recreation, but correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, we have to pay election workers now through payroll.
Correct.
Where in the past, we used to be able to pay them through accounts payable. That's anywhere from 10 to 15 a year, even if some of the same election workers work multiple elections in a year, we have to pay them. That would be a seasonal employee as well. So not all 63 employees, 63 seasonals are actually, your summer people cutting grass at the cemetery or lifeguards at the beach or helping in public works. It's your election workers as well. So just a note to point out on that one. Here's our general fund balance. Like I said, in 2009, we were 32,000 in the hole. We climbed our way out of that to 484,000. The commission's policy is to have a minimum 2 months operations reserved in the general fund. That's not to be touched, and that amount is 350,000. So we do have 134,000 basically available if we needed that to balance a future budget. General fund as a percentage of annual expenses. History of our millage rates. We were at 15.5021 for many, many years. And then the 2 years we levied 13.6. That's when we changed the 1.8 mils for garbage pickup to the utility bill. A lot of people complained at that time because 1.8 mils of my home is not equivalent to 1.8 mils of your home. Some people were paying more for garbage pickup than others. When we went to the flat rate, we felt, no matter how many bags you put out, it's that service. This is a good picture. Many, many cities use the dollar bill. Where do your tax dollars go? So for every dollar, the city keeps 24 cents. All the rest goes to other entities. The school, the state, the county, the college, ISD, and all the extra voted millage, 911, data, community action, and road patrol. Parks and Recreation at a glance. So we've got expenses from 2003 to 2015, recreation revenue, and then the net. The net is actually supposed to be red bars, but the tubes. And then Dr. Mary Cretin's money, Dr. Mary Cretin's left an endowment, and 48% of the annual interest comes to the city. But she's very specific on where that 48% can be spent. 4th of July, playgrounds, there's about 5 categories there. So of that money that goes to Parks and Recreation, rec programs, maintenance of the fishing pier, establishing and maintaining playgrounds, that's an addition. So if you add that in the equation, and you take the total expenses divided by, we're roughly 5,000 population, 4,973, I think it is. The cost per capita is $43, if you include the Dr. Mary Cretin's money in there. There's the revenues and expenses year to year. Long-term debt and pension liabilities, we're just listing, sludge storage tank, 2013 pickup, garbage carts in the truck that we bought in 2012, and then the new docking system. These are required numbers that we have to have in this report. And then the unfunded post-employment health benefits. That's the health care that we've promised to retirees. We have to show that as a line item on our audit. So it's included in this report as well. Long-term, some of the same information. Our pension liabilities, that's the unfunded defined benefit portion of our MERS payment. And then unfunded pension per capita. Then we have to tell them a projected 2016, 2017 projected budget. We're just now putting that on paper, so this is real high level. Taxes, we're estimating, hopefully a little increase in tax revenue. We can continue that upward tick there. Same thing with state sources. Recreation, that's our user fees. So that's recommended by the rec board and approved by the city commission. On the expense side, we're looking at a 1% increase in pay and benefits. Our MERS increase is 6%, and our health insurance bill in the new fiscal year is 0.4%. So thank God our health insurance bill is staying flat. So that's our best guess at this point. And then that's just in the graph, 16-17 projected budget. Utility rates, just trying to show the history here of our rates. Pretty self-explanatory there. Quality of life and economic strength. We have to show these areas and what the trend is, neutral, improving, or decreasing. Population has remained pretty flat. Same there. Top employers, Glasgow Schools, 148, Canadian National, 82, Van Air, 73, SC Forest Products, 60. Top employers there. Community development slide. Value of construction, ups and downs. Overall, though, it may not be a lot of dollars that people are investing in their homes, but people are they're starting to build a garage or add a deck. So, I mean, for a while there, nobody was doing anything. So hopefully, the people themselves feel a little bit more comfortable. Maybe they can invest a little bit in their property by adding, a deck or garage or something. Every little bit helps. And then here's some statistics from our public safety department. Violent crimes, property crimes, and Part 2 offenses. Some pictures of our public safety department. Calls for service, 2011 we had 2421, in 2014 we had 2094. That's a good thing. And more required data from public safety. Violent crimes, property crimes, traffic crashes. Traffic crashes are up.
Looks like crimes went down, all people forgot how to drive.
Calls for service are up, fire calls are down. So, a lot of good information in the report, so I'm just going to have it on TV to show other questions on this?
No, I'll save that for the budget meeting.
We will send it to the state of Michigan.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve it.
I'll move that we approve the, what is it called?
CVTRS.
The agenda item, CVTRS program, Township Revenue Sharing, City and Village, we send it to the state of Michigan?
Yep.
I'll support.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner View, support by Commissioner Thompson. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is city manager's report.
Just a couple things tonight. If anybody's interested, we've advertised this on the radio. The business banking meeting tomorrow morning from 8 to 9. Anybody's welcome. It's at the DDA building. If you own a business, are thinking of opening a business, Tom Philman is our guest tomorrow, and he will be talking about the ins and outs of business banking. So I'm gonna sit in on that for a little while. Don't forget this Friday, our old-fashioned Christmas downtown. Everything starts about 5:30 till about 8 o'clock at night from City Hall all the way down to the Legion. In the Action Shopper this weekend, there was a big 2-page outlay of all the events going on. The packet for the December 1st meeting, I was hoping to hand deliver to you tonight, but that didn't happen today. Those will be available tomorrow. That's the fund accounting, MERS, and what do we do since the bond failed, with the 3 items that were on the bond. Couple things from the last commission meeting. Public comment, I just wanted to answer a couple of those questions. Mr. Gary Wyckoff had quite a few questions. I did email him a couple days after the commission meeting, which generated more questions, so I'm working on them. Just wanted to answer a couple of his questions. He was talking about the RFP that we're doing for a new concession restroom pavilion up at the sports park complex. That is correct. When we received the $1 million donation from the John and Melissa Bessie Foundation, $260,000 of that was earmarked for a concession pavilion restroom facility. We're following the sports park master plan that we had UPEA do for us 3-4 years ago. And that's what that calls for. It's going to be built in the middle of all the ball fields. We'll be able to benefit all of the play that happens up at the ball fields. But then he mentioned the ski hill concession. So I just wanted to explain the ski hill during the winter operations. The city runs our own concession inside the chalet. We buy the food, we sell it. That money comes to the city. There is a concession at the ball fields right now that's privately run, that's allowed through the Little League board. The city and the Little League work on the master plan for the sports park where all the ball fields are. But the Little League, said that can be privately run. That's not a city thing. But once the new concession restroom pavilion is built, we have to work with Little League on working that out. Then there's another concession that the city runs down at the beach house. And all of this revenue and expense is tracked in the general fund. So it is kind of confusing. You have to be looking at the right concession revenue to match with the right concession expense to see if the concession is making money or losing money, whatever the situation is. So there are several different concessions that the city runs.
Why wouldn't we put that in with Parks and Recreation?
They are. It's all in the general fund though.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't know, what line items to match up, and then he wasn't sure why we were building a new concession, but the concession at the ball fields is separate concession from the ski hill operations. Another question was the $177,220 general fund. Since the bond passed, he was thinking the city would have to cut that, but the L4029, which is the millage rate that the commission approved in June of 2015, was 15.5021. The 13 mils plus the 1.8. The bond, 1.86, was a separate millage. So since the bond failed, we can't address the 3 items that we were trying to get the bond money for. But in June of 2015, the commission approved 15.5021, so that's what we levied. That's what we're collecting now. So he thought the 1.8 for the bond was the 1.8 from the June, and they're two, it just coincidentally happened to be 1.8236 and 1.86. I can see where people got confused on the numbers. Mr. Juneau, under public comment, questioned the crosswalk on 29th Street. Staff and I have met with Mr. Juneau several times and told him that we cannot paint a crosswalk across 29th Street that doesn't continue on with the designated sidewalk. Right now, if we painted a crosswalk across 29th Street, we would be putting the people into somebody's private yard. We've questioned MDOT on this. We're trying to find a solution, but really the ultimate solution is to have a non-motorized walking system in that area. Then we could have designated crosswalks to a sidewalk and not somebody's yard. So we will continue to find funding to make that happen, but right now we just don't have it in our budget. Question came up, why does the city hire non-city residents for our summer seasonals? In 2014, the city hired 27 of the people we hired, 27 seasonal employees lived in the city proper. 20 additional live within the Gladstone mailing address. Same school district, it's just not in the city proper. So we feel 47 people live in the city of Gladstone. I mean, that's same school system, compared to 5 people lived in Rapid River, 7 from City of Escanaba, and 2 from Rock. And just wanted to point out that there is a state law on the books right now that we cannot require employees to live within the city limits. Prior to this law, there used to be a policy, we could require city employees to live within the city limits. The state law doesn't allow us to do that anymore, so. Minutes from last meeting. I think that's all I have.
All right. Next is the City Commission and Committee reports, a monthly financial report for 2015-16.
Hello again. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. For the new commissioners, these reports are usually in the second commission meeting of every month. And what it is, it's just the monthly financial reports. These ones are through the end of October. And right at the top, it'll say percent fiscal year completion. And for the month of October, they should be about 58% completed. Now, some of the items are kind of seasonal things. As an example, you'll see the revenue for the campground will be 100% or higher. Campground season has already been completed, so that's why that item would be either at 100% or higher. Same thing with the expenses. If there's a department like the beach, that one would be closer to 100%. Ice rink hasn't opened yet, so they still do have the season to go through, so there will be some more expenses to come in that department. If you flip to Major Street, Local Street, you'll look down at the bottom, total fund expenditure, or total for the as an example, Major Street Fund. It is 35%. We haven't hit the winter maintenance season yet, so there will be a lot more expenses coming in the major and the local street funds. Normally, I don't go through very much detail with the financial reports. It's more of just kind of like is there any questions? There's nothing to approve or anything like that. It's just for informational purposes. If you flip to the very, very end page, you'll see the total expenditures for all funds, and that is right at 54.41% completed. So we pretty much are right on target as far as being in line with our budgeted expenditures. Did anybody have any questions? No questions?
No.
All right,
It's too
thank you.
confusing. Love this. Right now.
All right, next up is anyone have a board or commission reports? Okay, next up would be public comment. All right, next is city commissioner comments. Commissioner Phelan?
I don't really have anything to say, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out. Nice to see young folks here checking this out.
All right, thank you. All right, Commissioner O'Connell?
I want to remember everyone that December 1st is the MERS meeting. We're going to be talking about that large debt that we saw up there. Also, you can contact us if you go to the city website. Our emails are there, all the commissioners. And you can also send information to the city, and they'll forward it to us. So if you have any comments at any time, feel free to send us information. The more we hear from you, the more we get ideas. And the more ideas we have, the more we can throw them out there and see what works the best. That's all I have.
All right, Commissioner Thompson?
I attended a planning commission meeting, and I was very impressed. It really flowed nice. They were well organized. Excellent bunch of people that volunteered to put their time in. I'd like to commend them all for taking the time to be on that commission. That's all I've got.
All right, Commissioner View?
I hope the young people in attendance tonight will show up, and if you make a report on us, you kind of email it to us. So we can see how we're doing in your eyes. Also, when people have questions here, is there, they come under public comment, can we get the answers emailed to us if it's not confidential? Because a lot of times they'll say, well, what happened with the hiring process? Why did that happen? And, it would just be nice, at least for me as a commissioner, I don't know what the other ones would, but anytime they talk about something, if we could see what the answer was for that, so that we can be well-versed in letting the public know what was happening at the meetings.
So you want it right away as opposed to the next commission meeting and I
No,
report it under-
whenever you answer them, if you
I
just
so
shoot us-
at the next commission meeting under manager comments, like I just did?
Well, you said you emailed them or you sent them something. If we could just get that emailed to us so we can just kind of look at what.
Oh, if I
what the-
email answers, okay.
You did do that though, didn't you? I got the answers,
Yeah.
Mr. Wykoff.
Mr. Wykoff one.
Oh, I
she
didn't
did.
get it. Of course, I was down for 2 weeks too, my email, so
Do you have your commission email forwarded to,
A+.
okay. Just make sure that link is still there, because sometimes that goes
Oh,
down.
okay. And then, I just wanted to comment that I'm still looking into a way we can communicate with the public outside of, without violating the Open Meetings Act. I've been doing a little research, and there's a couple of things that I think eventually we'll be able to do outside of public comment where we can engage them not so parliamentary-like. Because I think that's, the key for me is to really be able to have a conversation with them somewhat. Not to make any decisions on anything, but I've always felt that's a pretty strong way of representing the residents. Nothing else.
All right, I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and
Forgot about that.
and hope you all come out for the old-fashioned Christmas on Friday night. All right, next is city clerk comments.
Provided 2 memos in the commission packet, which is also available online under agendas and minutes. If you go to that tab, everything the commissioners have in their packet is available there. The only thing that would not be is if there were something privileged, like an attorney, client document, that would not be. So you can have everything that the commission is looking at. And it's on there, and it goes back quite a ways, so you can download those before the meeting, or if you need more information, like as the students are attending, some information's there as well, if you didn't catch it. But the 2 memos that I provided in the packet, one was the question was asked when we were making the planning commission appointment dates, for the appointment for Dave Nemechek there last meeting. When were the people appointed? How long have they been on? Dave Mantala, who is the current chair, he was appointed January 11th, 2010. Judy Granger has been on since December 23rd, 1996. John Norris, December 12th of 2011. Jack Sepik, May 9th of 1988. Elger Strom, August 28th, 2000. And Dave Woodworth, August 23rd, 1993. And we did just appoint Dave Nemechek to fulfill the remainder of Naomi Holt's term, and she had been on for like 36 years. So some great dedication to that board. The second memo was, I had stated at a previous commission meeting, sharing the last quarter newsletter from the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks. I provided that to you again as well for their fall newsletter. A lot of good information. As I was reading through it, I was kind of underlining, and fortunately, unfortunately, you get my notes in it as well. So you'll see some things that I put on there, especially under like legislative ones. I really like that they provide that, but it's also a way for me to share with you, our local legislative body, to be supporting some bills that are in the House and being looked at by our state reps, and some things that could help us, local government, save some money. One being like a public notice modernization bill. It's currently stuck and neutral. If you email the state representatives and our rep and say, hey, we could really use this, that could save us money in our publishing requirements. We could utilize our website and not have to pay for necessarily, ads in the paper, things like that. So I may not always share the entire newsletter, but I just felt there was enough in there that warranted sharing. But for sure, I'll be keeping you up to date on the capital updates. Also, too, there was a great one, which you need to be aware of, the Bureau of Elections update on the statewide voting system, the bid process. They're looking at new equipment, looking to be implemented in 2017. There is money still in the Help America Vote Act, funding in Michigan. So one thing Michigan did do right is we didn't spend all that money like some of the rest of the states did. They, with that money, purchased our equipment that we have had for the last 10 years. That was the city of Gladstone did not have to pay money for that. It's getting outdated, there's improvements needed, so we're going to have to update that equipment. The money that's in HAVA, which is the Help America Vote Act, there's about enough, based on their estimates, to cover about 50% of the costs statewide. So there will be a local requirement to purchase new equipment this year. And we don't have a choice. You have to purchase the equipment. And right now they are looking to local jurisdictions to be planning 1,000 to 2,000 per precinct. Basically that would have to be purchased in 2016 with training and things need to be done to be implemented for 2017. So I will definitely be keeping you guys up to date on that. 1 to 2,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but we do have 3 precincts we would need to outfit with that. So we're not a huge community. We only have the 3 precincts, but still, it's a cost and a mandated cost that will be coming. So I'll keep you updated on that. So just some really good information, and please maybe support some of those legislative ones that are that are in the house right now. So, that is it for me.
I just had one correction on your, it was Brad Mantilla, not Dave
Oh.
Mantilla.
Brad, I had Dave in the brain. Yes, Brad Mantilla, I'm sorry. Dave Nemechek was the
Yeah.
current one, so I will correct that.
Okay. All right, meeting's
you.
adjourned.